shoot. Ready? Yeah. All right, we're live. Look at that. We're doing it? Yeah, I guess so. Oh, no, I don't want to share it. I just want to get going. I don't know why it won't stop doing the toolbox. There. All right. So, Panda's joining in. And do you want to get the stool so you can like kneel on it or something? I'll go get the stool. No, just get the stool. I don't know if you can hear me.
I can hear you.
You can hear me? Okay,
yes.
Great. Okay. So give me 1 minute.
Sure.
All right. I have locked myself in so people can hear you but won't see you for a few minutes. So just let's start off by saying welcome, everyone. Welcome to the TheArtsyKnitter Podcast. This is episode 16. And let's see here. Episode 16. And I am your host, True, T-R-U, no E on the end, also known as the TheArtsyKnitter. I'm on the TheArtsyKnitter on Ravelry as my profile name, the TheArtsyKnitter on Instagram, and then the TheArtsyKnitter Podcast all together on Facebook and my Ravelry group, and I think also my iTunes. So those are all the places on the interwebs that you can find me. And feel free when you get a chance to, there's a, right down below, I think over there is 2 little thumbs up and thumbs down. So if you really enjoy the show and our past shows, really try to make sure if you could thumbs up the videos and share them on your Google+. They're on my fan page on Facebook, so share them there. You know, just basically share the heck out of them, is what I'm saying. Leave us a review on iTunes because those things help you find us, and for other viewers, you know, like how you were at one point when you didn't know about us. You leaving reviews helps people find our podcast. So I go lead way right into announcing my guest for today, and her name is Panda, and she is the host of another knitting podcast called Pandaville, and it's like a video diary, the adventures of
me. I like the segue. So again, my name is Panda, and I'm from New York. When I'm just happy to be on the show with True. True and I, we met up 2014 summer, and we had so much fun. We actually have an episode that we put together when she was here. Check it out. It's on my YouTube video, Pandaville Podcast, and I think True, you have a link to that also.
Yeah, I do have a link to that as well. So your Pandaville Podcast on Ravelry group.
Yeah, for me, if you want to check me out, you can catch me on Ravelry as Panda Loves Yarn. I do have a group. It's Pandaville Podcast, Knitting Podcast. That's the group name. On Instagram and on Twitter, it's Panda Loves Yarn. And I also have a blog. It's pandalovesyarn.com. And that's it. That's where you can find me. Or you could just reach out to True, and then True could find me.
And then I'll give you guys any links that you need to, like, find my girl. But before I forget, let me introduce my other co-host that usually hosts the show with me. This is
Yuki Baby, also known as Little One.
There you go. So originally she started off as Little One, but she decided that she wanted to have her own identity, which I totally understand that. So she is going to be assisting me wherever possible. So she'll pop in and out of the show. She's not going to be here like straight through. So I'm just warning you now, so in case you get disappointed. Okay. So I'm going to start off with gratitudinous before we get into the meaty part of the show. Gratitudinous for our new viewers. Welcome to the new viewers. Thank you so much for the returning viewers for coming and check us out again. And my gratitudinous is about saying thank you to all the new people who have joined the group on Ravelry. So even though this is on YouTube, if you're a YouTube watcher and you have a Ravelry account, please look me up. Totally, you can add me as a friend or join the group or both, and that can get us connected. So my gratitudinous this episode is One Who Knits. Thank you for joining. Moss Mermaid. And then these next three people who I'm going to announce, I'm giving just slightly, everybody else don't get jealous, slightly more props because I'm pretty excited and I'll explain why. Moss Mermaid, Lexi, or Lexer, what am I talking about? Knitter Lex. I know, right? Knitter Lex, I got this 83, and Rob Year 27, or I want to say it's Robbie Ear. I don't know. It's a girl, so it's not Rob. But anyway, these ladies are people we just got connected with through a group called Sister Craft. So I want to say a special thanks to joining me and Panda on the show and checking us out. I actually look forward to seeing you guys in the threads or Panda has an introduction thread in her group, and so do I. Send a little intro, tell me more about yourself. And this goes for any of the new members that join the group, as well as I have a knit-along called the Stash Boom, which I'll talk about more later. So to all the new viewers and all the new people who've joined the group, please jump in and write on the chat thread and let me know if you are really interested in doing this knit-along. All right, and that's pretty much it. We're going to go right over to Panda.
Oh, go over to me. Okay, so what are we going over?
We are going into how long have you been knitting, who taught you, those two questions first.
Okay, I've been knitting for about 5 years. I taught myself reading books. No one that I know knits. My mother-in-law crochets. I actually learned how to crochet first, and that was about 10 years ago. She taught me the basic, how to, the chain to start and the basic single crochet. And then I bought books and taught myself how to crochet. But I've always been interested in knitting ever since I was young. So once I kind of got crocheting down packed, I bought myself knitting books and taught myself how to knit. This was before YouTube was like, the best thing since sliced bread. So, what was the other question you said?
The next one would be, how have you progressed since then? But before you answer, sorry guys, I just had a little bit of with Google Hangouts, if there's a sound on any side of the podcast, the host or the co-host, it trips over to our picture. So just a few minutes while Panda was talking, we had a little bit of a sound accident with Yuki Baby, but she's fine. No, nothing major, but if in case you were wondering why when she was talking, it kept flicking back and forth, and I'm like, ah! So yeah, so each of us on each side are going to try to be as quiet as we can, and then I'll also, when there's talking going on, I'll lock in Panda when she's talking so that you don't get dizzy. But yeah, so the next question, Panda, is how have you progressed since then? Like, what resources did you use to really progress yourself?
Okay, so before answering that question, so before answering that question, I just need to say I will try my hardest to be quiet when you're talking. So So
Oh,
I'm just letting you guys know that now. You're gonna have to, True, you're gonna have to like just freeze paint your side when you're talking because it's been very hard for me to keep my mouth shut.
I know, because we each say something and we chuckle, and then that's like it's all over after that. So I'm going to try and do this locking back and forth thing to make sure it goes smooth. We're all working out the kinks of how to use this.
The world's going to end.
No.
The world's going to end. It's all over.
No, it's not.
No, please, no. So I actually say that to be honest with you, within the last couple of months, actually, when we started to like talk and and chill and stuff like that, was when I was really getting more information. I mean, I learned the basic, and I would just stick to doing blankets, anything that didn't really have me checking gauge or any type of garments. But since the beginning of 2014, I've really been learning a lot about gauge and really wanting to push my goals and really wanting to push myself in regards to knitting. So I've been looking into different types of garments to try and make, I'm trying to be fearless. And so what has helped me is Ravelry. If you're not on Ravelry, definitely check it out. It's a wealth of information. Google is a wealth of information. YouTube also, and having, connecting with people, you can connect with people via Ravelry, but what helped me was connecting with you because you have such a huge source of information. And so I've learned a lot. And of course, you're my knitting warden, so of course I'm going to learn a lot.
Thanks.
But yeah, so it wasn't, I mean, I've been knitting for a very long time, but I would have to say that I've not been really serious or hardcore about it until earlier 2014.
Okay. All right. It sounds pretty good. I'm going to say that just to start off, and people might be like, okay, did she just say knitting warden? Did I hear right? That's right, people. You heard right. You heard her. I have a knitting warden, and when
she loves it too.
Yeah, yeah, maybe I do. Okay. What's the problem with that? I like it.
Is there a problem? Oh, okay.
Oh, okay. We're gonna make that joke probably fairly often because her bird actually repeats that saying. I think it's kind of hilarious that he can do that.
What did he say?
He's like, is there a problem? Oh, okay. Serious dude. Anyway, the knitting warden thing is meant to mean someone who is, it doesn't necessarily mean they're a better knitter or they have lots of, it's more about like, oh, if I learn something, I share it with you. If there's problems that come up within your knitting, I would jump in and say, hey, I found this video, or I found this resource, or here's what I did when I did that pattern before. I may have a longer length of time knitting than Panda does. I started knitting every day, maybe, so not this past August in 2014, but August 2013. And then prior to that was knitting it for over a year. So, I really kind of dived into it. And so there are times when she's busy and got things going on, and I'm like, oh, I found this thing, and I'll send it to her. Or when the warden part of it comes in, when she's got...
That's right. I was going to say, hello, let's get to the nitty-gritty. You're like,
let's get to the real part. When you got 72 whippies on the needle, and you don't even know when you started it, when you finished it, and blah, blah, blah. And I had this whippy cow, like whip the whippy, getting rid of all the things off the needles. And I had to sit on Skype and, like, whoop her behind to frog it or knit it. One of the two. And so that's the person that helps you kind of like, okay, when you change, getting rid of clothes in your house, and you're like, okay, have you worn it in 6 months? No, throw it in the garbage. Give it away to Goodwill. But I do it in the knitting way. And I've challenged her to knit continental because she was complaining about wanting to knit faster, and there's so much to knit in so little time. I was like, well, then knit continental then.
Yes, that's right. So 2015,
Yeah.
I'm knitting all my projects continental. I still don't see a difference, but
What?
I don't see the difference yet in continental
Yeah, because
and in English style.
because it's really new, and I know that there are probably hardcore English style knitters out there. Just be aware that this is not my statement. It's not based on dissing your style or maybe you're a Peruvian style knitter. It's just what I have come to an opinion on for me to make myself faster at knitting and also more comfortable. I have very long fingers, as you can see. They're gonna take over my whole face. And they, I just wanted to have some longevity in my knitting. Now, there are lots of people who do English style and don't have problems with their hands or their wrists, or they knit extremely fast. Kudos to you. This is not, don't send me any hate mail, okay?
I mean, I like the fact in episode 8, I did talk about the challenge. I did talk about you challenging me to knit continental. And the reason why I accepted the challenge, I had explained in episode 8, was for two things. I want to learn different styles of knitting, just in case anything. And then the other reason was because I really wanted to knit that day, and I had banged my hand, and I couldn't knit English style.
Oh, no.
So I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna do continental. I taught myself continental before, but because me reading books, they didn't have the option when learning how to cast on or learning how to do just a regular basic garter stitch. It taught you English style. It didn't give you the choice of continental or English style. So the books that I had, it was just straight English style. So that's why I was taught, or that's why I learned English style. So I revert back to that whenever it is possible, which is funny for me because I'm a lefty. So for me, I would just be like, oh, all right, I'll knit with my left hand. But when I taught myself, same thing with crochet. When I taught myself, the person that taught me crochet is right-handed, so she taught me how to crochet right-handed. Knitting, it was the books that I used, and everything was right-handed.
Right, I get it.
So it was a little bit of like, all right, I guess I have to try if I really want to do this.
Look how she says it so like, okay, do this. I gotta, and you don't find a difference right now because I do believe it takes a little bit of time, a couple of projects of committing 100% to that style in order to see a difference in your work or your tension, and creating a time for you to build a tension that works for you. Like, not build, but like set up your hand. Like I set up my hand, over the index finger and in and out, in and out. Some people do a wrap around here. Some people do the wrap around and, or some people like all kind of things. So you have to find one that works for you. And I do the same with my yarn when I'm crocheting as well. So that's kind of part of it. Oh no, I have somebody trying to call me on Skype, and I didn't put my Skype. And now I just want to like kill him. But yeah,
I don't want to know.
Yeah, I know, right? It's because like when like my phone and things like that, I need to like remember not to to turn on the volume and stuff like that, so that when you're podcasting, you're not having like craziness go on while you're like a ringing or what you just saw happen just now.
Yeah.
So yeah. So then that leads me to say, what are you, a process knitter or a product knitter? And tell us, and then after that, tell us about your show and like how you got to that place.
Okay, so I started off as being a process knitter, and True, you can attest to this from all of the wikis that I had. I just wanted to learn a stitch. I just wanted to learn different types of stitches and how fast I can make it and different types of yarn and stuff. But recently I've become more of a product knitter. I want to see the end result. I want to be able to knit until I see the end result and be able to give and share what I've knitted with other people. And so what I found for me when I started podcasting, which is I'm only in my 9th episode, but the reason why I started is because I don't really have friends around me that enjoy knitting or enjoy crocheting or any of the woolly greatness of this type of craft. So I figured I'll just keep a live document of what I've done or what I've learned, and then I'll share it, because you never know who's by themselves and just enjoying this. So my podcast is, hey, this is what I learned, this is what I'm doing, this is what's frustrating me, this is what I really like, or X, Y, and Z.
Right. So, we had a knitter also say last night that where she lives, there's no one, I'm not going to mention her name just yet because, you know, I have to make sure people are comfortable with that. No knitters that she feels she has something in common with in her area. You know, so when we both reached out to her, she was really excited about that. So, so you're saying that your show is like a knitting blog, almost like a video, like your adventures. You're chronicling your adventures.
Yes, and I have to say that every episode that I do, I kind of like I get a little bit better at it. I think personally, so I think that as I go along and I'm getting more serious into really like documenting my experience, that my blog gets, you know, my vlog.
Yes, video blog.
Yeah, my vlog. I sound like Dracula, but so I really like it because and my husband, he's like, you're crazy, because I'll rewatch it. You know, when you're doing, you know, you have to do the editing and stuff, and I'll rewatch my stuff and I just crack up laughing.
Yeah, I do. Isn't that weird when you crack up and start laughing at yourself and you're like, did I really just say that?
I'm like, I thought what? That's my kind of podcast.
Totally.
So so he you know, he lets me be. He definitely lets me be. But yeah, so that's what my podcast is about.
All right, great. So then my last question, so to speak, is what's your best and worst knitting experience, which I think segues into
Whoopies.
Right? Whoopies. Go.
Okay. My worst. I have a ton of worst, and I don't have them to show you because they were pulled out. They were frogged, thanks to my Warden. Actually, wait. I think I do have one, and I completely forgot to bring it over here. But I'll show you. No, that's not it. I don't really know.
Well,
my worst
is what? What? I thought it was something that was going on right now that you're whipping. That you're.
Oh yes. Okay.
I was like, she totally forgot.
Yes, no, because I have so many. Okay, so I started this. It's called the Baby Iron Body a Suit Hat and Booties, right? Wow. And if you go on I just podcasted. I just uploaded it today. As a matter of fact, my episode 9. I talk about this pattern, but it is by Elaine Casey. All right. My cousin is due to give birth February 1st, and she had asked me to make this so that so she could bring the baby home in, right? So it's the baby's going home outfit. All right, fine, not a problem. I go on Ravelry and I purchase it. Great pattern. It's a beautiful knit up. So I start knitting in. Unfortunately, this is what I have to show right now, because what I had to do was I had to rip everything out.
I thought you were only going to rip out the one leg that was wobbly, not both of them.
No, because I didn't want to my tension. Remember, you were talking about tension? So I
Yeah.
noticed that the tension was not the same and would not be the same. So I took your advice and I cast it on for 2 at a time so that my tension is consistent throughout.
Yes.
So that
And
I
you know
do
what
not
it is.
have,
Yeah.
right, so that I don't have that problem that I had where one was like wider than the other leg, where one leg was wider than the other leg. So that is my worst right now because it's the second time that I am doing this, and she's due to give birth February 1st. Now, my cousin
Oh,
usually gives
geez.
birth before her due date. This is her third child. So I'm flipping out.
Oh, mama.
I'm flipping out. So that's my worst. Um, my best.
Or just like ones that, you know, like we can just talk, we can go into the flashbacks for 2014 in a bit.
Okay.
Let's just, you know, we can share back and forth. I have a few, like I have my whippy. So that's one of the whippies that you're working on now. Do you have another whippy that you want to show?
I do.
Go for it.
Okay. So I also, I'm knitting this, and unfortunately I'm in the middle of a round, but I'm knitting this. It's called the Rodeo Drive Poncho by Stacy Perry.
Ooh.
You can find her on Ravelry. I believe her page is very pink. And this is the poncho that I'm knitting for my mom in gray and pink. And the yarn that I'm using is blue sky alpaca worsted cotton worsted. My mom is allergic to wool.
Oh, no.
So everything that I have to make for her, I made her this beautiful shawl for Mother's Day, and
Yeah.
she can't wear it because it's merino.
Oh.
So
You
so I
know,
was like,
there
oh
are some
wow.
merinos that won't give you problems, like for allergies. You just have to find the right kind.
No, she's allergic to all.
Yeah.
She's
Okay.
allergic to all, yeah.
I
So
don't know.
I'm
I've just
so
been told that some merinos, like a very special kind. When you have wool allergies, there's only some very few merinos that can work okay.
oh, so then I have to figure that out.
Yeah, that's what I mean. And because
I
she's
mean,
like
I
there's
didn't spend
allergy,
that much.
and then there's like sensitivities, and you just have to, if you can find that merino, then she's only sensitive. She's not allergic. Supposedly, something like that.
Yeah, so then I'm gonna have to take her to the yarn store and say, here, feel this, and like rub her neck on it or something just to see. But yeah, so I'm making this for her. It was originally supposed to be um a Christmas gift, but my dad had a great idea, and he started her on a Pandora bracelet. So I just bought a pendant for her. All of her kids had to buy a pendant. So it left me being able to just take my time with knitting this. Again, I'm trying to get into garments. This is a little bit of an easy garment because there's only shawl shaping because it's a poncho. And there's a cable that runs right down the middle.
Right. Nice.
So that's that. So that's that. And then I have one more that I'd like to show you.
Oh, awesome. It's a whippy?
Yeah, it's a whipping.
Sweet.
It's a blanket because 2015, like you said, is stashed down.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm using my yarn. This is Karen yarn, and then the name of this blanket is the Baby Chalice. Unfortunately, it's not, can't see too much of it because it just started.
Hold it up a little bit further. Let me see. Nice.
So I'm using a size 10.75 US. I don't know what that translates to in medium, but that's the needle size that I'm using. So it's
Does it say the
making.
millimeters on there? Usually it's right beside. The millimeters is right beside.
Yeah. But what happened is that because of knitting, it rubbed off.
Oh, okay. And you didn't keep the original package.
No, I don't. I toss it. Sorry. So because of the size needle that I'm using, the pattern is actually coming out bigger than expected, which I think is awesome for me anyway, because then I can use up my stash yarn faster than anything.
Yeah.
So right now
and then the blanket ends up being a nice hardy size for the baby.
Exactly.
Okay, so I guess I'll segue that.
Well, you don't have whippies?
That's what I'm saying. I'm segueing into my whippies.
Oh.
What I did was put my whippy on my model.
Oh, okay.
Hey, turn around, girl. So this is my first. I've made a shrug for a little one before, but this is my first like full-on cardigan, and I wasn't sure like how much, like even though the pattern, it's called the Nome pattern, the Nome sweater, and on Ravelry, and it's a free pattern, and it said it was a size 8. When I did the measurements for Yuki baby, her body like width is the measurements add up to a 6-year-old's measurements because she's thin in her width, her frame, but her length, her length is all like 10-year-old, 12-year-old, no, 10 or 11 kind of thing. So I wasn't sure where and how I would need to increase and like the pattern. Now this yarn is acrylic, I know, cringing.
But it feels so soft.
It's super soft. It's Mary Maxim's yarn, and it's meant to be. It's made out of like. It's acrylic, but it's like something about eucalyptus or something like that. So it makes it incredibly soft. And it says on Ravelry that it's DK, but to me, this is as thin as a fingering weight. So I think this sweater would have even come out slightly bigger, but because the yarn is thin, the size kind of gets tighter. Now, there's so much more to do in terms of like the front of it. If you notice that it's off center, like there's this thin, this side is smaller than that side. I pick up stitches along here and then knit a rib flap. Maybe I think it's supposed to be 3 inches or so. I'd have to go look at the pattern on both sides. So technically, like this will be, it'll be like that eventually. Right? I put my sweaters on longer needles. I think these are 47s or 41s or something, so that I can do the try-on. That's why I like doing top-down as opposed to bottom-up. And I did. She doesn't. Does she state? I don't think she states what, or maybe she states what increase, which is a knit front and back. And people have suggested to do the make one left, make one right, but I just decided to do the knit front and back to see what that increase would look like, so that I could make a decision going forward when I do my cardigans. And so I'm saying all this so that newbies who are watching, or veterans, doesn't matter, when you're doing garment knitting, sometimes you have to pick projects or patterns that you feel like you can kind of work out those kinks, like figure out, like people have to knit a few socks to know whether they want a love kiss heel or whatever you call it, the oh my god heel, or the
oh my god,
yeah, the OMG heel,
yeah, the fish,
or short row heel, or a gusset heel, or
so many heels and backs and
yeah, exactly.
Fish lip kiss.
Fish lip, there you go.
Fish lip kiss heel. So I know. So you never know what you have to make it to kind of get a feel for what works for you. So I'm pretty excited about this. I going forward though, this is probably going to be the only one I'm ever going to make in this thinness of this yarn. It's like super. I don't know if you guys can tell how thin that is. To me, it's pretty thin. I'm going to start making her stuff out of worsted and chunky or bulky or something like that, so that it knits up faster. And when I knit her sweaters, I want them to last. So when I knitted her a shrug, let me take this off of you, and maybe you can go and grab the shrug for me, assistant. I knitted it and then realized that, this child is long. So to make it last, I picked up stitches afterwards. I did ribbing, so I wouldn't do it when there's ribbing there, but I bound off like the pattern, ended it and everything, and then took my needles and picked up stitches and then knitted. This is a finished object, but I just wanted to explain what I mean. And knitted an extra 3-inch cuff And then I would always, when I knit her a sweater, if you're knitting a child a sweater, I would keep extra yarn from that pattern for that sweater. And then when they, especially if they don't go out this way and they only go this way, then I would literally undo this and like knit or extend this further if I wanted to. It's one of my tips for like knitting clothes for kids. Always find a way to kind of make your design decisions based on how you want the cuff to extend forward, so that when they're a year later, they can really get a maximize on that sweater usage. So yeah, that's one of my whippies. And the next one, and the last one here, for at least for this section, I have not gone that, I've only gone a little bit further since the last time I showed this. It's really thick because I'm holding two together, and I didn't think about that when I started it, with the pattern supposed to be worsted. But I was holding two together just so that I could get this color, this variegated color of gray and pink. And so, you know, instead of just doing it plain, but then I realized I'm using a 3mm needle. I could have gone up in my needle size just a tiny, tiny bit. I want the fabric to be dense, but this allows me to kind of make sure that it's really, really tight for her, like for the toy. And right after this, I'm going to knit the face and start pulling it together and the ears and stuff. It's called the Boink pattern, which is kind of funny.
It's cute, though. The pattern is really cute.
So I'm going to grab the, I was just going to look for the pattern here so that you can kind of see what it looks like. And then that way you can kind of imagine it, because it's still a work in like, I don't know, I guess I could call it like a half work in progress. A hoe is what they call it on the podcast.
You better be careful.
I know, right? Exactly. So hold on, let me lock myself in here so that you can. So let me bring it up. Hopefully you guys you'll be able to see it clearly. I think it's super cute. One eye bigger than the other. Obviously, it looks really great in variegated yarns and stuff. Like this one is really amazing. So instead of it having all those stripes, I'm just going to do it with a variegation, right? The pink is totally overpowering the gray, but
yeah, it is.
So that's why I'm wondering if I should do a gray face here, that little patch that goes right here, instead of making it pink so that it doesn't, you know, like balances it out or something. We'll see. So that's my whippy, and that leads me over to you. Our next section would be our ta-das, unless you have anything else to add.
Ta-da. Ta-da. Wait.
She's like,
Ta-da, I'm done. Finished. Okay, so.
What do you call it on your show, though? You call it,
I got it done. It's a done deal.
Oh, it's a done deal. That's right.
Done deal. Okay, so I'm from New York, True's from Canada, and so I tried to make something a little bit more rugged or rough, or what I want to say. So I say it's a done deal, and I actually came up with that when True was when True and I did one of my episodes. But I have Ramsey. Say hi.
Oh,
Ramsey is the pattern is Voodoo You Love Me by Susan Claudino. It is a paid pattern, but she has so many of these guys. Oh my God, they're so adorable. So I try to knit Ramsey up. It is I call Ramsey a perfectly imperfect Voodoo You Love Me, because if I don't know if you'll be able to see this, but his legs are shorter and they're not, you know, he's just not even, not at all. His head is not shaped like fully round shaped, and I think it's because I didn't stuff him well enough. But I love him all the same. He's perfectly imperfect. So his head kind of like flops if I don't hold it.
Oh, we could call him Flopsy. No, what's his name? Sorry, I shouldn't rename you.
It's Ramsey.
Ramsey, I'm sorry, Flopsy Ramsey. Ramsey Flopsy.
Okay.
Well, maybe his last name could be Ramsey.
Flopsy Ramsey.
Maybe
So I have Ramsey.
horn.
No.
And then my other tada is a ear flap cap by Very Pink. By Stacey Perry from Very Pink on Ravelry.
Yeah.
And on her YouTube is Very Pink Knits.
Yeah.
So I purchased this pattern a long time ago, and because I'm trying to use up stash this year, I just cast on. So I can't really be 100% about about what type of yarn this is. I want to say it's probably like Red Heart or Karen yarn. But other than that, that's it. That's my tadas for right now.
I totally threw her off by showing her my timer, which says that we've literally talked for 30 minutes already, and there's 15 minutes more. I totally threw her off.
But listen, you don't understand. Well, true. Let's be real here. We talk for 4-5 hours at a time. So the minutes definitely threw me off.
It's okay. It's all right. It's okay, boo-boo. It's all right. We're going to get through this. And if it goes longer, it goes longer because we're doing a special feature.
Specials.
So I'm going to go right into my tadas. Is that everything for you, Mama?
That's it.
Yeah. So I'm going to get little one, Yuki Baby, to show this first thing here. I should have had it on while you were talking, but if I was slick, I would. Can you kneel down? Or no, then you're too low. Okay, kneel as in on the kneel as on here. Yeah. So I created it. Now, not to say that there's no other patterns out there like this. I just created this. It's a hat for Yuki Baby. And
it has a little triangle
and
thing.
It has a little drawstring at the top, and I think what they call it on Ravelry is a howl.
It's a cowl and a hat. Cowl.
Right. And you're gonna put this one on your little one while I demonstrate the cowl part. So this actually was quite enjoyable to do. I guess, it was made in 2014, so it could have been part of my flashbacks, but that's okay. So then when she's in school, instead of losing her hat, she can...
Because no hat's allowed inside the classroom.
Right. We just slide it down, and then she has something around her neck to keep her warm. And then, in true American Girl style, I decided to make a matching hat, the same exact thing, not the same yarn, because I am not making an American Girl doll hat out of Mad Tosh. That's AKA Madeline Tosh. So she's got a sweet acrylic yarn for her hat, but it's pink. So, she should be happy. Let me see, not to... So this is the American Girl doll Cecile. She's a historical doll. And so they both now have a hat that can go around the neck and on their head. And I'm going to make a few more knitted items that are matching. Maybe even maybe an eye it hurts on the thing, right? And then matching for both of you. And then I decided to make little leg warmers. So what I did is I put a little package together like I did the year before. I did a huge box when she got her American Doll from me. And the box had literally... No, we showed these already, baby.
Oh, yeah, but they're matching.
A box... You totally threw me off.
A box of things...
For the American Girl doll. And, my mom sewed a whole bunch of things, and I knit a whole bunch of things, and I think even a friend knit some stuff or whatever. And so the thing was for her to open this box and, So this is a nice gift idea, guys, if you have birthday presents coming up. And I'm making Ava leg warmers and stuff. So and I'm working on some design stuff. So, but these were just plain. You know, I cast it on, knit a couple, like maybe 4 rows of ribbing, and then 10 rows of stockinette, and then another 5 rows of ribbing, and it fits. I don't know where the baby is gone. I could show it on, but she doesn't need to model it, I guess. So that's my that's one of my, or like 2-in-1. I call it the cowl and hat together. And my last one, let me see if I can back up and you can see it properly. Panda, can you see this?
Yep.
So
back to the side. Yeah.
It's like a swirl design. Now I'll take off my, and it's called the hurricane hat. And this yarn is almost like tan, or no, caramel and gray had a baby. I said that on my last episode. And my roommate, Brazen Woolens, was like, really? So this was a hat I just finished. So this is one of my to-dos. I don't think I haven't shown it on any episodes yet. And it came out so incredibly well. It saved me because we were at minus like 30 or something this past couple days. And oh, look, our model has her, because we do have some younger viewers showing her parts.
Her underwear. Where is that?
I know, that's your job,
Where's
Mommy.
the box though?
I don't know. So look at that.
It's cute.
Isn't that cute?
Yeah.
And so Ava's gonna have one. Yuki Baby's gonna have ones that are like same exact yarn. I did do this one in Rowan wool, or something like that, worsted wool or something like that it's called. I've been buying that a lot to get certain pieces kind of like that I want to test out or something like that. And it's a really warm yarn. I like it. It's a little bit more rustic than Barocco, like rustic as in the feel of it, but I like it a lot. So those are my 2 ta-das.
Nice. What's next?
All right. So what is next? We've got one of the things I wanted to talk about, because you were talking about the resources that you use to kind of get better as a knitter. So I wanted to let everybody know that in the show notes on the blog, and I think as well I might put them on the Ravelry group, I decided that every once in a while I'm going to pick out some videos that I have felt like I've learned from on gauge swatch. Now, I know that people struggle with gauge swatch, but if you're a new knitter, start embracing it early before you start having your mind set into stone on like the tediousness of it. And I think it's not that it's tedious. I think it's just that we just get so excited that we want to get right into it and knit right away. We don't want to waste.
Boring.
Yeah, it's boring. You're knitting a little square. If you're a newbie, it's a little 4-inch square, or it should be 6-inch so that you can measure 4 inches. And when you're making garment, just no way around it. You really need to do it. And I found that KnitPicks did 2 videos on the gauge swatch, which was part of a playlist on making your own sweater, that really broke it down well and made it less like, you realize at the end of it, you're like, yeah, I really just need to get over it and do it already. So, and then I have a few videos by Maria X, because I can't say her last name, but the link will be there. I might put the links also in the show notes here. I don't do a lot of show notes on the YouTube because I rather put everything in the blog so people can go there. Picking up stitches for a raglan sweater. Also, she does DPNs or short circulars to magic loop the picking up. And you could also do 2 circular needles for sock knitting, and I think I have that link saved as well. And then
I'd like to try that.
Yeah, because sometimes I don't do DPNs at all. I am a magic loop knitter all the way, every chance I get, and 2 at a time. And I started off that way, guys. In case you're like, oh, I'm not there, I can't get there. just because I talk about things on here that you may have never done before, it's just take it as an opportunity to challenge yourself this year. I've talked about in my last show about like really just being a bold knitter, knitting like a rock star. So there's other ways around it. You could knit with 2 circular needles for your spots. You won't be able to do 2 at a time, I think, unless your 2 circular needles are extra long. I have to look into that. And a crafty video, which is, there's crafty videos that are free that you can watch as well. And there's, so I'll have links in the show notes for that. So, and then the next thing that I wanted to get into before we get into our flashback 2014 is I do have a cow coming up. Now, I've told everybody in the last couple of episodes that I want to take a break from knitting alongs just because I only had like 6 people in the last 2 or so. And that's great for the knitters. People get to win and win and win some more. They get to win. Exactly. But I thought, you know what? Everybody needs to consider stashing down. I'm sorry. Give me a break for one moment. My daughter is opening a puzzle box while I'm recording live. A puzzle that we have nothing to do with the show that we don't need to be looking at this moment. Can you please put it away? Thanks. Anyway, the stash down, I call it this, instead of a stash down, I call it the stash boom. Let's blow up that stash and like start using up our stuff. Now this means I'm going to have rules. There's a chatter thread on my group that you can go on there and look at all the information. And you know, you obviously need to be a member of the group. If this you're a YouTube viewer only, you've never been on Ravelry, I would love to implore you. I might do a video just on why, if you're not on Ravelry, you need to sort that out. I might have to do a show just separate on that. But the stash down allows you to double dip. That means there's tons of cows going on. Last episode I showed all the places that have other cows going on. You can do any project. I mean, let's not do a washcloth, guys. I mean, I'm not trying to hate on the washcloth. I mean, but if you have 17 washcloths, that's not so bad. But if you have a washcloth and like something else, maybe. And I'm still deciding as to whether it's going to be, you could like say you do a wild thing, and then you have a bakery bear, and then you have like a whatever, as many different projects that you use from your stash that's at least 3 months old or 6 months old. Each time you enter gives you an extra chance to have your name put in. I think I'm going to do that. I don't know what you think about that, Miss Thing.
I like that.
But it's going to be from January 15th to March 15th. So turn it over to you and see if you want to go into your flashback 2014, all the things that you loved that made an impact on your knitting. Like you're like, this project was so delightful. It's all you.
Okay. Okay. One of my flashbacks is actually the Moon Shawl by, I believe her name is like Caitlin or
Caitlin, yeah, Caitlin French.
Caitlin or something like that, French, and she's on. You can find her on Ravelry. This is a free pattern. Notice the size. I haven't sewn in the edges, but notice the size.
Yeah.
Okay. So I love the colors. Originally, I didn't like the way that the colors blended together, and I think the colors are being washed out, but it's gray and like a pink.
Yeah.
And it's from the yarn that I use is Cascade Elite yarn. So one of the things that I wanted to say was that this was a real learning experience for me because of the size. Like, I'm interested in knitting up shawls like you have no idea. But I've never
why it
really
came out so small, Mama?
Huh?
Do you know why it came out so small?
I think that I think that in part it is the type of pattern that it is, because it's not really like a shawl, more of a shawlette, so that you can use it like this. Like a lot of the pictures that I saw, people were using it like this.
Okay. I didn't
right?
think
But
it was that small though. Like it would be good to
yeah,
go with your
yeah.
pattern.
So
Maybe
this has to do with I really when they all
have
right.
you blocked it?
Coming back. Say that again.
Have you blocked it?
I've not blocked it yet.
That's gonna make a little tiny bit of difference.
Yeah, it's gonna make a difference, but not so much so. So one of the things that I learned was that when I cast it on, it tells you the amount to cast on, and then I did extra repeats, but I should have went further along in my repeats. I have a bad habit of kind of guesstimating how long a piece is gonna be, and so that's what happened here. Because I could have continued, but I chose not to because as you can see, there's increases on the edging here, and then down, this is just the design, but you increase.
So hold on, when you're saying that in the pattern, it told you how far to go and you cut it short, or you just were like,
No, it told me how far to go, and what
I
I did was I increased it. I did more repeats of the pattern. But I think that what happened is the type of needle that I was using, as well as the type of yarn. You can use any type of yarn, you can use any type of needle, but I think that the needle I was using for the type of yarn that I have, it really impacted the size of this shawl.
Right.
That's what I mean. So knowing what needle to what needle is best to use with specific yarns would really definitely help. So that's what this taught me in 2014.
All right.
Then the other one, I actually have to tell you, this was probably this blanket was probably my first podcast, and I have to just point this out to you, True, that I knitted this blanket in Continental.
I did not know that.
Blanket. See? The entire blanket I knitted in Continental. So has to be my favorite. It's acrylic, it's Red Heart Baby Soft yarn.
No, don't cringe, people. Don't cringe.
Don't cringe, but it is so soft. Someone had asked me to use this, and unfortunately never came around to picking it up. So it's staying in my stash. But yeah, so this one is my favorite. And then one last one that I would like to share.
Yeah, go ahead, girl. Bring it out.
Is my hat. I made a hat,
y'all. Oh, yeah. I love Tiny L Knits. She's one of our sponsors for the fairy tale cow that I did.
So this is for the fairy tale cow that True had put together. And I knitted this up specifically for that, but also because I just love the way it looks. It's different. And it's called the Dragon Watcher's Hood. And I made this out of Cascade Magnum.
Yeah.
I don't remember. I think it was like a size 17 needle that I used, or 15 needle that I used. And this has to be one of my outlandish. You know what I mean? So for 2014, this is one of my outlandish
pieces.
Knits. Yeah. So that's what I want to share.
Nice.
How about you?
All right, let's see here. Let me lock it on. I mean, it's locked onto me, so you can talk anytime. I enjoyed, let me show the small pieces first. I really enjoyed doing the bakery bears. I got addicted. I think I did 3 bears. There's one in a bag just needing to be assembled, and I have plans for 2 more, I think. I think because the bear can get dresses, like she can have, these dresses can be removed, like she can take them off, and the shoes can be removed. So then the scope of this bear is like, oh, she can have a wardrobe. She could be a Vogue bear. So this is Yuki Baby bear, and her name is Yuki as well. So not to be mixed up, Yuki Baby, Yuki. And I wanted her to kind of have a Japanese kind of feel because she's bright pink, and then her ears are purple out of Koigu, and then this is out of I think I want to say that this is Cascade Superwash or it's Barocco. I don't know which one.
I think you said you made that out of Barocco.
Yeah, you may be right. Yeah. And then I did, now even though Cascade is thinner, Kogu is thinner than the DK weight, which is what they recommend for the skirt. I can't talk too much about the details of the pattern because it's a paid pattern by Kay Jones, the famous podcaster of the Bakery Bells. Also on YouTube. Check them out, guys. They are the funniest two Brits, I'm telling you. I wanted to stripe it and also put eyelets in the stripes. So that's the pattern has solid stripes. I just changed it up. And then her little bow tie is another favorite of mine because it's my first pattern that I ever did on Ravelry, called the Golden Glow bow tie, and you see the seed stitch texture more so on this Cascade. But this is also Barocco's metallic line that people do a lot of ornaments out of, and I decided that I was going to make a bow tie out of it for like an evening event, and I crocheted the center, as you can tell. I don't know if you can tell that the center is a crocheted thing. And
now that you mentioned it, but before, no.
Yeah, and then of course my Rastaman bow tie that I have on today. In case people are wondering, why should I Rastaman bow tie on? I am not Rastafarian, but I'm Jamaican. And whether it's Jamaican colors or it's Rastafarian colors, I just like it. I wear bow ties on my show a lot. And so I have tons of bow ties. Now this one is not based on it's based on my pattern in terms of the numbers, but not on the texture. This is just a stockinette stitch style. So that was a really highlight of my year. And then I'm looking at the timing, because we already passed the 45-minute mark, just so you know.
Really?
Oh yeah, girl. And it feels like we just started.
Yes. And
this was a highlight because my hands are, like I said before, extremely small. They measure, I want to say 6, and the average for women is like 7 or something like that. They're really, really thin, and a lot of fingerless glove patterns were not coming out for me. So when I got this to work, I think this is done also in Barocco. I like using Barocco for like almost like a workhorse yarn. And I will find out momentarily. No, well, honey, she's measuring my hand right now. She's like, oh my God, it's even smaller than you think, Mom. I'm like, no, it has to go all the way around my hand. It's called the Staghorn Gratitude. I call it the Gratitude Mitts because I entered it in the Fat Squirrel Speaks podcast knit along. And I was so excited when these turned out, so I really want to repeat this again. So I'm glad that I put in there all my notes for my cast on so that it can be nice and snug. And I wear connectivity gloves, the stretchy kind, inside of this so that I can still wear it during the winter. Exactly.
Exactly 19.
19 centimeters, but it's 7
and a half.
7 going around. And so sometimes patterns don't really fit. And my last, and one thing I did too is that I did this super stretchy bind off on the ribbing. I would not do that the next time, and I actually might pick this out and redo it. It made it too stretchy. Like I'm doing ribbing, I didn't need to do that. So that was like a little newbie move there that I was like, oh, I probably didn't need to do that. So I will change that the next time I do those gloves. And I'm pretty sure you're not going to be able to see all of this, but I'm going to try my best. This was my first garment, and it's made to be worn like a vest. Now, it's It's called Spoiled for Choice. I call it the Configuration of 17, so you can go on my project page and look for it. But this thing is awesome. I love things that are like kind of like unusual in terms of garment construction.
Have you worn it?
Yeah, I've worn it, and the picture is on my project page. I do keep up my project page. That's another newbie tip for you guys. If you're just getting onto Ravelry, start getting in a really great habit of setting up your project pages and putting information as your excuse me. Woo! Putting in your project pages information, like with my gloves, I put in when I started it, how long it took. I put in, oh, you know what? I had to adjust the pattern and do a cast on of 34 instead of 44. And then what kind of decreases, any changes that I made. And each day I labeled the day and my progress. And what that does is that new knitters, like that has been seen like more than 20 times. And people sometimes will tag your project as a helpful project page that help them make that decision for themselves as well, or information about like increases or decreases and things like that. So, but if you want to see this on me as a garment, I think I have it on episode. There's a specific episode that I have it wearing it. It was like my birthday episode. I think episode.
No.
Yeah, it was my birthday episode because I went to the Fiber Festival.
Oh yes.
The Knitters Frolic, I think it was called. And I had.
You were outside.
Yeah, I was outside. I was with Nameless, who became unnameless.
Guess what?
So let me see here. I scrolled down and look. It is episode 6, my birthday part 1. I'm wearing, because there's a birthday part 2 on episode 7. So the part 1 is I have it under my coat. I have it on there. So, but I have it in an image that I took in a yarn store on my project page, and you get to see it. That was really a really great piece. Now, knitting scarves can take a long time, so they can be tedious. And it is done in a scarf format, but because of the openings and the binding off, and it changes, and you're tracking it, and it kept it lively for me. So,
cool.
Yeah.
Are you a product knitter or a process knitter?
Well, let's see. I still struggle with the definition of those two words because I would say I'm a product knitter because I'm about the end product. Like, I want to get the end piece, and that's what I understand what product knitter means. Mm-hmm. And somebody told me that project knitting is more about process knitting, or is that what it is? Process knitting?
Process.
Yeah, process knitting is about, like, you don't care about the end part. You can just knit it over and pull it out and knit it again, and it's just like the build up and the turns and the curves and the journey getting there. Mm-hmm. I enjoyed the curves and the turns on the Spoiled for Choice, but I was really concerned with getting that finished piece looking right and measuring properly so that I could wear it. I am a fashion person at heart. I love clothes, and the fact that I could make a knitted garment on my own, from my own custom, shift, mm-hmm. Shift the pattern and do what I want with it is like amazing. So I think I'm a product knitter.
Cool. Word.
We should have had your bird come in and say that. Word.
Word.
He's so cute.
My bird says a lot of different words. He tells my dog to lie down, and he tells him to go away. He also says, like, I don't know, hey buddy, how are ya?
Oh, what's the one that you said?
Just like we already said it on here in the beginning of the show.
Oh yeah.
I'll show you what it's not my. I made this in 2014. It was supposed to be a gift, I talked about it on my, not the last show, but the second to last show. I didn't talk about it enough, really. This pattern is done, it's called Dock of the Bay. It's done by one of the lovelies, who I call the lovelies from the O-Loops podcast, or Fiber by Design, but it's the O-Loops podcast. When you Google it, you can find it on YouTube. She's a brilliant designer, Sarah Stevens, one of the co-hosts. She hosts that show with Lydia. This pattern, I feel like, is going to be really, really great when I actually do it the way the pattern says I'm supposed to do it. Now, I did all that, but here's why I say that. I chose the wrong yarn, and this is, I wanted to talk about it again because I wanted to make sure knitters, sorry, I'm just letting my daughter not like make little tiny sounds while we're recording live, but choosing your yarn wisely is really great. I had the red and the charcoal gray was awesome, but the lighter gray had this kind of almost like a crocheted style texture, which you might not be able to see on here. That looked really funny and just didn't knit up well, and all of them together felt very not as draped as I feel like it looks to me like the pattern is on her project. It also seemed really wide. Like, I know I did something wrong. Now, the idea of the stripes, like, I was so grateful to get this pattern. I love stripes and polka dots. So I really wanted those strong colors. And I think I actually might redo this, but maybe do it in Burberry colorway. Like, I think 10 is what I need or something like that. And then do it as a circuit. It's supposed to be infinity, like go all the way around. But I stopped it when I realized things weren't going well. Sometimes you have to do that with a pattern. If it's not going the way you think it should, stop it. And then I can kind of wear it. Like, I'm going to block it and wear it like a cow. But like a gator.
I like it.
Yeah, like, sorry. I'm turning it around because, don't kill me, Sarah. I got chocolate on it. So I'm trying not to show you the chocolate part.
I like it. And I like the colors that you have, that you've used.
Yeah, like my choices for my colors, I really am happy with. I just am not happy with the way that the yarn, sorry, that sound is the timer just letting us know that we have to wrap up.
Okay, bye.
No, wait. The way the yarn is, I just didn't like that. So I have to knit this pattern again. It's an absolute reknit for 2015. I was so unhappy because when I got this pattern sent to me, I was so excited, like really excited. So I want to recommend to you guys to go out there, check out this pattern.
What's the name?
It's called Dock of the Bay by Sarah Stevens. And knit it, but take my heed. Like, this is not about the pattern writer. This is about you as the knitter. You have to make very careful choices. I think that this should have yarn that drapes better, that's a little bit softer, so to speak. And I'm going to try and go to the project page.
Can you give an example of the type of yarn you're talking about?
Yeah, like without the fuzz, I'm going to say Barocco Folio. You know, for those who are like on a little budget there and want to be conscious. But it has a hair, a fuzz to it, like almost like as if it was mohair, even though it's not. But it has a lightness, like any yarn that you would use to make a drapey sweater. You know, it has flexibility to it. Like, I would never knit this in rayon because this yarn is easy to be dense and stiff. Like, it's perfect for toys. Like, learning about yarn and learning the way in which you make your selections is important. Like we were picking sweaters for you, and I was like, you don't want to use that yarn for that or acrylic for that because that sweater needs has the opening of it flaps,
Yeah.
and you want to make sure that it's
On Craftsies, they have a class about the wool, different wool blends, like different yarns and stuff, and learning, how they interact. What are the differences between the two, between the yarn choices, which I've been grappling over whether or not I want to purchase to take that class because I know that it's very important, especially when trying to decide what pattern you're gonna do.
Right, exactly. So this pattern takes DK, and the yarn that I wanted, like I chose, was Filatura de Cruza, and a Cashmere DK by Louisa Harding. And even though it had the cashmere, I think that was the one that was the light gray. That was not the good choice. The Filatura de Cruza, if I'm saying it right, those was fine. And then the red is actually just like a more subdued yarn that I got, I think, through like Romney or something like that. I think even that should have been a different yarn and done like, I don't know. I'm just gonna be more careful when I select this, and I might even consider using something slightly thinner for myself because maybe I'm knitting it too tight, whatever. I just need to adjust myself, but I have to knit this thing again because when you look at her pattern and the final thing, it's like so pretty. She does it with 4 colors, and I chose to do it with 3, so you can make the little shifts, but I just wanted to talk about it a little bit more and go into depth with this. But it worked out to being a really great gaiter, what people call a gaiter, or like a cow.
Mm-hmm.
Still see. So I say all that to say, is there anything else you wanted to add, Mademoiselle, before we sign out?
No, I don't think so.
All right, guys. So if you, I feel like if you're coming back to watch the show on a regular basis, it means, I guess, I get the perception that you like the show. So, and people are not really. I do have a thread for each episode, so be aware of that. That I do check that thread. I have like fiber in my eyelashes right now. Sorry about that, but I do check that thread. So feel free to go on there, write questions based on what we talked about today, or any questions that you might have about something I did talk about or didn't talk about. Anything that you relate to in the show. What I usually do when I watch podcasts, like if I'm watching Panda's show, I'll open a thread on my computer, watch the show on my iPad, and I will, as I'm knitting, I'll write things in my reply to, like replying at, because I'm gonna forget by the end of the hour's over. I might forget, like she said something funny, or I had the same thing happen to me, and this is what I did. That's gonna go out the window by the end of the episode. So try it that way by having something open on maybe your tablet and you're watching on your TV, or those people who have those TVs that they can stream the YouTube to the big screen.
Yeah.
I wish, girl.
Yeah, I know. Me too. Well, I did. Well, Brian, husband, got the Amazon TV stick for Christmas, and what that does is that he's now allowed. He's allowed. I wish I could tell him you're not allowed. But now he's able to like stream Netflix and YouTube and everything like that to the computer. But I think Apple TV does that automatically. So I wish to.
Well, at least you have the option to do that. So I'm going to allow you to do your sign out that you do at the end of your show, and we'll do ours after.
Okay. So live life and love it to the fullest. Panda out.
I I love when it's just like Panda out. And what we say when we end our show is Yuki Baby is going to say goodbye. And we encourage you to knit like a rock star. Hey! Thanks for joining us, guys. Like the video. Leave a review. Go on Ravelry group. Connect. Talk to me. I don't want you to talk to me. I don't hear anybody talking to me. Say something. Okay, and if that's too like not direct enough, I will say it in a Jamaican. Me do all of the thing and me put on the show and nobody not say nothing. Me need to know what on. Anybody have anything to say? Anybody have any questions? Anybody want to know anything? Maybe I have some ideas of what you want me to put on the show. Somebody just suggested that maybe I should do the show in full-on Jamaican. I don't know about that. Anyway, knit like a rock star. Peace out. Bye.